Welcome back to Freedom Unfolding, an inclusive, holistic community that offers education, options, and inspiration to find your truth, find your voice, and find your freedom. I'm so excited to be here with you today for this very special podcast episode where we will be discussing the art of being where you are. My name is Sara Mata of Loving Light. I'll be your host for today's episode. I am an integrative health practitioner who incorporates energetic bodywork, clinical hypnotherapy, and trauma-sensitive techniques to support my clients in remembering their wholeness, inner strength, and resiliency. When discussing the art of being where you are, we keep in mind that this is a very subtle practice that calls for gentleness, softening, and grace. There is a finesse and a delicacy to being in the present moment with yourself. The challenge often presents when we have resistance to where we are, because most of the time, it might not be where we want. That's a very normal human experience. To have resistance, to have an idea of where we want to go, where we want to be, and have the realization that that's not where we are right now. Maybe we're experiencing suffering or pain or turmoil. We want to get out of it. Or maybe we feel stuck, paralyzed. Or we have a big motivation to shift and make changes. Either way, we have a destination in mind of where we want to go, and we want to get there fast. What's the quickest way for me to get from A to B? I want a straight shot in that direction. Where's the roadmap to life to help me navigate this situation, this circumstance, this trauma? Let's dive deeper into this map metaphor. For example, let's say we want to go to the grocery store, and we're looking at our map. We have the destination in mind. You type in the address on Google Maps, you get a clear image of the destination, and click the button for directions. You'll notice the Google Maps will always ask you first to choose your starting point. This is key. You can type in your location if you know your address, or turn on your GPS. Rarely do we choose a starting location that isn't actually where we are in the moment. If we choose the starting location of the last known address, the place you were yesterday, maybe your best friend's house, maybe school, maybe work, the map will give you directions, but they won't be super helpful to you in the moment, because that's not where you are now. You're not in the past, and you're not in the future. You need to know where you are in the moment, the present. So we'll turn on our GPS, get an exact location of where you are. The GPS will triangulate your location and give you exact coordinates. Give those coordinates to your map. We need these specific coordinates in order to get where we're going, to where we want to be. This is a crucial part of life, a part of manifesting, a part of existing and being. And a lot of us miss this part. Oftentimes our thoughts will live in the past or in the future, thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, when really the best place to be is exactly where we are in the present. It's important to learn how to be where we are, to have an awareness around our exact location. This practice of being where we are, of finding our coordinates, will invite us to acknowledge, allow, and accept. Acknowledging what's here in this moment with truth statements. Allowing the space for what is here to actually be here. Giving it permission, an invitation of spaciousness. Allowing us to gently soften into acceptance of what is. Radical acceptance of all aspects of self, every part of you in the present moment. To find our coordinates on a mental, physical, emotional level involves tuning into the present moment, becoming aware of the body, investigating and acknowledging what your thoughts, emotions, and sensations are, what you notice, and if there are any underlying needs that need to be honored. Allowing space for it all to be here and accepting what is. Now, before we begin to dive deeper into this practice, I want to honor that sometimes this practice can feel scary and unsafe, especially if we don't have any experience with it before. Maybe just hearing that invocation has triggered your nervous system, a response in your body of anxiousness. If so, my invitation to you before we go any further into this intentional practice, reviewing the how-to of being where you are. The invitation is for you to meet the need for safety. What do you need to feel safe right now in this moment? Safe enough to explore where you are and be with yourself in the present. Meet that need before experiencing this practice on your own. And know that it's perfectly okay if you decide that you feel you need support from a practitioner or a trusted companion who can hold space for you and your process while you learn how to be with yourself in a safe and regulated way. As soon as we have the experience, we'll create a pathway, an awareness of, oh, that's how I do this. And then we can try it more on our own. So if you're ready and it feels right for you, I'll go over the steps of this technique and you can try it out on your own. We always begin by ensuring our limbic system is online, making sure that we're regulated. Our logical thinking mind is online and ready, taking as much time as you need during the process. We'll begin with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Using true factual statements and identifying your sense perceptions with facts and not judgment. Just begin by taking a deep breath. Exhale and release. Begin the practice with 5, acknowledging 5 things you see around you. It could be a pen, art on the wall, maybe your computer, your desk. If you're in the car, maybe your steering wheel, the cars around you. 4, acknowledging 4 things that you can touch around you. Maybe your keyboard, your phone, your water bottle. Whatever it is, we're just taking a list. We're noticing. Now notice what your body is touching. Maybe you're sitting on a chair, laying on a bed. Notice that your body is touching your clothes. Your hands might be touching your phone. Just bringing the body into the awareness. See the parts of the body and what they're touching. Your feet on the floor. 3, acknowledge 3 things that you can hear. The sound of my voice, maybe the wind, the air conditioner, birds outside, maybe a plane overhead. 2, acknowledge 2 things that you can smell. Maybe fresh air, the food you're cooking, even some incense or smoke in the distance. 1, acknowledging 1 thing you can taste. Maybe it's the last thing that you ate or drank. Maybe it's your chewing gum. Just making a list mentally or on paper. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Things you can see, things you can touch, things you can hear, things you can smell, things you can taste. This allows you to create very clear facts about your physical environment, your surroundings, your sense perceptions. Getting a clear idea of where you are physically located right here, right now, in this present moment. This brings your thoughts into the present, your focus into the now. Whereas before you may have been thinking about yesterday or what you have to do tomorrow. Now you have a clear understanding of where you actually are, your environment around you, all of your sense perceptions. And when you're ready, you begin to tune inward, continuing to focus only on that which is true, factual statements of where you are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We're taking inventory here, asking ourselves key questions and becoming aware of what you notice. Always give yourself as much time as you need, especially in the beginning when you're first starting out a practice like this. At first, it might take time to acknowledge, allow, and accept. It might feel hard if you've never done it before, but that's okay, because if you practice, you'll create neural pathways, energetic grooves, an experience and a knowing of what to do, so that when you recall and you need it later on, it'll become easier and faster for you. During the process, you might want to begin jotting things down if that feels helpful. Asking yourself these questions now. Are there any sensations in the body? What do you notice? Just making a list, scanning the body, looking for the facts. There doesn't need to be a story around it, any judgments of good or bad. We're simply acknowledging, I notice this in my body. I notice that in my body. Allowing whatever's there, whatever comes into your awareness, allowing it, giving it permission. Whatever sensations are there are allowed to be there just for now. We invite in spaciousness, inviting the space for every sensation, every sense that you have about your body. It's allowed to just be here. And when you feel ready, you move on to emotion. Are there any emotions present? For now, we're just noticing what's here. Acknowledging, I feel this. Or in my awareness, this emotion is here. Be as specific as you can. See if that emotion has a specific location in the body, in your field. Where do you feel it? Allowing, giving permission for whatever emotion is there to just be there. Inviting in space. There's space for whatever emotion, at whatever intensity, Just allowing it. Being the witness to what is here in the present. Having a clear understanding now of the sensations in your body, the emotions present. Just acknowledging and allowing will shift the energy, even subtly, allowing it to be seen and heard. Maybe there's a message for you that you hear. You can jot it down. Going a little deeper now, you check in and see, is there an underlying need? Or perhaps your bodily sensations or emotions need to be honored in a certain way. Is there a call for movement, sound, expression? How does this aspect of yourself need to be heard, seen, felt? Does this aspect of you need to hear something from a higher place of consciousness? Does it need resource? Start by just investigating and jotting down whatever comes to mind. Making this list, you're creating your coordinates, your very specific location of where you are in the present moment. You can always start by taking a very small, incremental step to meet the need for yourself. Doesn't have to be big all at once. Any type of momentum will help shift the energy. Acknowledging, allowing, inviting in space. Allowing it to be seen, heard, and expressed. Jotting down what you notice. Taking inventory of this clear picture that you have now. Very specific coordinates of your physical location, your thoughts, your bodily sensation, your emotions, your needs in this present moment. Giving each of them acknowledgement, allowing there to be space for them to exist simultaneously. All that you are, all at once. There's space for all of it. Even if things seem to be conflicting. If you have joy and sadness, both can exist. There's space for whatever duality you experience. And maybe at first you don't believe that. But once you have the experience, you will know that it is possible for yourself. Now in this present moment, in addition to these conscious thoughts, emotions, sensations, all of your sense perceptions, ask yourself, who is the being that was able to notice and witness all of these perceptions? Taking a self-inquiry, sensing yourself as the presence behind the being, the witness. You are the conscious awareness that was able to take inventory of all these things, becoming aware of the spaciousness in the background, the undercurrent of awareness. You're tuning in now to the absence of thought, that gap between thoughts, the inner spaciousness, the stillness. Finding that inner space within yourself, tuning into your essence identity, your essential nature, the spiritual dimension of your being, deeply alive, vital, inner peace arises in this space, a dimension of being and conscious awareness. And now you're living in two worlds almost, noticing your humanness with acceptance and recognition of yourself as conscious awareness. The space that allows for humanity to unfold. The container that allows for the emotion, the thought, the body to exist. Just tuning in, just in a very gentle way, you're increasing your capacity to be with the duality of life by cultivating inner spaciousness. This practice of accessing the stillness, the deep peace within yourself, being with yourself by acknowledging your sense perceptions, allows you to be with your humanity, your human experience of life. And on another level, you are also being with yourself, being where you are in the deeper dimension of conscious awareness. We are all human beings. We are human and we are being. Allowing for the experience of human life, the movie of our life circumstance, those thoughts, emotions, sensations, and events unfolding as a human. And at the same time, having the awareness that you are the witness watching the movie, aware of the movie. You are the space and the container that allows for the movie to be played out, to unfold. Your humanness, and at the same time, your beingness. Allowing for the being aspect of your essential nature, your essence identity, the dimension of form and formless. The world of manifestation, physical form, and the world of conscious awareness, essence, the duality of humanity and spirituality. You are the container and the space between all things, the space that makes it possible for all things to be here in the moment, the present. This transcendent dimension, deep within, traveling, you'll encounter the spaciousness, allowing space for every aspect of you to be acknowledged, fully allowing radical acceptance. Accepting whatever you feel, whatever arises. This acceptance creates the space, even more spaciousness. Your sense of self will shift from being over-identified with whatever sense perceptions you notice, whether it be pain, trauma, or joy. We can feel gripped, overwhelmed, drowning. when we're disidentified with the self, our essence, our mental thought and emotional content can create a loop, continuing to feed that emotion, making it more intense. It's easy when this happens to over-identify with the pain, the suffering, the turmoil. Identifying those things as you, your sense of self. But when we're able to be where we are, taking inventory of all of our sense perceptions, as well as our spiritual nature, there's a space and a container for all thoughts to come and go. Painful experiences, joyful experiences, they come and go. Emotions arise and dissipate. And there's space for all of them to be. There's space for your highest dimensionality, the infinite potential, as well as the darkest, most tragic part of human experience. Both can exist. Having that awareness of who you really are and where you really are, your sense of identity, accessing this presence power, accepting, allowing, acknowledging, cultivating a spaciousness. This prevents our mind from creating stories and feeding into a loop. When we do this, we access our power, our potency, our life force, so that we can be with ourselves and be where we are in a very gentle, nurturing, loving way. Meet those needs. Honor and appreciate all the sensations of the body, all the messages the body has for you. Creating space, allowing for every emotion to be expressed, seen, heard. Creating time and potency when we meet our own needs from a place of neutral acceptance. Remembering to acknowledge, allow, and accept. This is all part of the very delicate, fine process of being where we are, in the present moment, taking inventory of our coordinates. I hope this practice is helpful to you. Take some time to try this out on your own. Just remembering to be gentle with yourself, especially if it's your first time practicing. And why we practice when things feel normal and regulated is so that when there comes a time when we are dysregulated, when we're triggered, when we're in process, we already have the groove, we already have the pathway, we've already created an experience of knowing how to do the practice. So it becomes easier to resource ourselves, to bring us back to the present moment, to take inventory, to be where we are, so that we can more easily have an awareness and understanding of the direction we need to go to get where we want to be. Thank you all for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your experience with today's practice. Curious, what tools and techniques have helped you in the practice of acceptance in the present moment? You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can email us at freedomunfolding@gmail.com. Join our community every Thursday at 3:33 Arizona time to find your truth, find your voice, and find your freedom.